I think the Berliner Olympiastadion is amazing to this day, and it has been restored very tastefully in parts down the years to preserve the look that it had back in the 1930s. It's really a feeling that everybody has, I think, when you take the time to study it. But one of the funny features of the Olympiastadion is something that you usually see on TV as the players are about to get ready for action, and that is the escalator. The players literally walk down or stand on this escalator rather as though they're about to enter a shopping centre instead of a football pitch. And it can be a little bit comical to look at that, to see some of these huge names standing on the escalator and then getting off before they get into position to walk out onto the pitch. The Berliner Olympiastadion, venue for the final, is full of surprises. I will admit that I'm a bit biased where Cologne is concerned. It's a city of emotions, summed up in the song Du bist ein Gefühl, which you hear a lot at Carnival time. You are a feeling. And we all had that magical feeling, those of us who were inside the stadium in Müngersdorf. Just recently, match day 33 in the Bundesliga, Köln had to win against Union to have any chance of staying up. We're trailing for virtually the entire game, somehow got it to 2-2 right before 90 minutes, and then in stoppage time, Damien Downs, a young player from the youth ranks, emerged to net the goal that made it 3-2, and it was, as I said in commentary, pandemonium. I don't know that I've heard a louder roar in Köln than the one I heard that day, and after the match I went off to sit and have pizza and a Kirsch, the favoured beer in Köln, and got talking to some fans who'd been at the game as well, and they confirmed my belief that it was the loudest they had ever heard the stadium in Müngersdorf. So it is a special place. It's a place for dreamers, for football romantics. There is nowhere like Cologne. Whether you're talking about the old stadium or the new one, the Waldstadion in Frankfurt is one of the great venues in German football. And so many classic matches. You could go back to 1984 and the epic DFB-Pokal final between Bayern and Gladbach. You could mention 2003 when Eintracht, the home side, had to beat Reutlingen and did 6-3. That was in the second division when they'd been down in that division for a couple of years but made it up, and hugely significant at the time. But 2006 in the World Cup, at the quarter-final stage, I was lucky enough to be there that night when Brazil faced France, and I recall having made it late because of bad weather and train from somewhere else having been held up, but got in there at the last second, managed to get a media ticket having been on the waiting list, even though I missed the first 10 minutes or so. But it's worth looking back at the players who were involved in that game. On one side you had Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, just to name three for Brazil. On the other side for France you had Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira and a young Franck Ribéry amongst others. And Thierry Henry scored the lone goal, 57 minutes. That was a bit of an upset at the time. I think most people fancied Brazil, but it goes down as one of the great games played in this terrific venue, the Frankfurter Waldstadion. My own love affair with Germany began as a young school student in the 1970s, but the first German city I visited was in the early 80s, and that was Hamburg. And my father and I decided that we would just jump on the S-Bahn and have a look at the stadium, the Volksparkstadion. We had no idea what to expect. There was no game going on that day. We just thought we would roll up there and, see if we might be able to get in. Well, the front door was wide open, and there was somebody cutting the grass using a sophisticated piece of machinery, sophisticated for the time, and we were just able to sort of walk around and take it all in. And in those days it was just terracing, or so it seemed. There was one stand and then the rest was just this massive terracing, and didn't think much about it after that, except whenever Hamburg played in a big game I was able to say, yeah, I've been there at least. But then when they redid the stadium, now we're flashing forward a couple of decades, it was almost unrecognisable, and it seemed futuristic at the time, and it's still now, whenever I go there, I think this is a special place on a special patch of land, and it has been moved a little bit in terms of its axis compared to the old stadium, but it remains the Volksparkstadion, and it is a monument in the city of Hamburg, which is one of the foremost cities in Germany.